I've never created as much content, clinic-facing content, as I have now since my PTA went on maternity leave, and I'm in the clinic every single day. You know, like I cannot believe how easy, no offense, guys, how easy it is to generate content when you're actually working and treating patients. Every single day, you don't even see a fraction of the content that I have stored on my hard drive. And that is going to be stuff that I'll go back a year later and access when I'm like, Dave, did you see my post about ATI?
It's a big I did. I mean, but because you were just talking about YouTube, I know you also posted something, I think last week, Tony, about different service-based providers with YouTube channels. And I had asked, I think I tagged you guys, maybe I didn't, but I had asked, like, do any of these service-based providers show an income report that because I think you've said intermittently, like some of these channels are making, hundreds of thousands or something. I don't know if they're making millions or whatever, but can a service-based company, like, I don't know, a physical therapy practice, or, Jimmy's basement, wall ceiling construction guy, can someone completely have all their income come from, ads, either Google, like AdSense, or like sponsors, like the way that people sponsor PT Pintcast?
Yeah. Yes. I would say 100%. Yes. I think that there's a couple things that need to happen. You have to understand what your product is. Your product shifts from delivering the service, and now your product is your audience and the attention that you can garner. Like, look at the guy who mows lawns. Now there's like copycat dudes. Have you seen this guy? And I don't even know who the original was anymore, but it's like deeply satisfying to watch this guy take this like hideous looking lawn, and it's like perfect, like hook, delivery, close. He walks up, knocks on a door, sheepishly is like, hey, like, is this your yard? And the person's like, yeah, I don't have any money. Like, it's got out of control. And he's like, I'm going to do it for free. And they're like, what? Right? And then they do like a time lapse of him like transforming this lawn. Now it's easier to film a transformation of a lawn than it is a transformation of a human. That takes a little longer, but it doesn't, because look at 60-second docs. Like, there's an Instagram account with 1 billion, million, gajillion followers, and they just understand that, like, brevity. If you promise me something and deliver, I'll keep showing up. So if you promise me a payoff in a video, and it's simple but not easy. Like, you have to think about what you're about to film instead of yahoos like us, which is like we just point the camera and we're like, we got 60 minutes. Is going to come out of this. But then look what we do. We go and find the nuggets and we share those to get more people to know about us. Like, I don't know about you guys, but we've been doing this for, I don't know how long, 9 months? Longer?
At least this whole year, right? 11 months?
Definitely this whole year. And probably like maybe last summer. But like now we're starting to see people DM us and be like, hey, listen, I see what you guys are doing there. Or like, hey, here's an anonymous question for like PT Breakfast Club, which I know Dave loves the anonymous questions. But so can they? Yeah. Look at, I had to bring up Prehab, guys. They did it in reverse. They started an Instagram account that exploded. Now they have clinics. They did it backwards. Like, no one would think about doing that. That's not scalable, except they didn't go into it saying, we're going to grow an Instagram account to a gajillion followers. Then we're going to open clinics. They just focused on the next step. They were like, we like doing this. We're students at USC and we just like doing this, and we're bad at it. And then we're not as bad. Now we're good. Now we're great. And now it's like, now where'd this lead us?
I think the sweet spot is getting paid for the service and doing what Tony says, recording it, then putting it on YouTube. Then it's like two-sided. And then if insurance, cuts, Medicare and everything cuts every year or so, right, another 1%, 2%, whatever. Then you have it offset by the media side. Sure. I think it would be great to do both. I actually want to ask Tony, because he's kind of doing this. And just last week, maybe I'm asking it the wrong way. I have a buddy who plays weekend baseball. He's I've known him for 10 something years. He's a physician. He's my allergist as well. He had a bunch of back pain. He wanted a visit. He contacted me that morning. I have kind of a wide open schedule, so I was like, I could see him, midday. I went to his office, but as to treat him in his allergy office. He kind of has like a treatment table. So, but I texted him on the way and I said, hey, can I record, or can we do a video testimonial? Like, can I record some of this, like little video testimonial / video demo, right? The exact stuff that Tony's doing, more demo stuff.
Right. And
he said no. And I'm like, he said, no, thank you. And I'm like, and then he texted me, by the way, days after the visit, he's like, I'm 75% better. He got better from, McKenzie, prone press ups, posterior derangement, whatever. So Tony, am I doing this wrong? Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I can't get these the clients. Maybe it's different because we're going to people's homes or we're going to them and it's one-on-one, and someone that goes to Tony's office or any other office is kind of like, they're a little more, I don't know, desensitized or open to it. Is it my clientele? Is it, I'm not getting everyone to sign a social media release like up front? We have people that say no to the social media release. Like, I have videos I want to get out there that I can't even record because people are so private. So what's wrong with me?
I would say it's your clientele, and I don't blame them one bit. Like, I think most people, the gut response is to say no right out of the gate. Now, my clientele, different from your clientele, if that's an allergist with like a business and all this stuff, he doesn't want any of that stuff out there. He has no advantage. There's no benefit to him. I think you could probably present it a little bit differently. It's just like when I'm scheduling patients, it's not when would you like to come? It's I've got this opening and this opening. Even if I have all day, we want to kind of guide that conversation. So I've got this queued up. I'll show you guys. Oops, I just removed it. There we go. So this, for example, this is my newest short video I published yesterday. I published this literally like 15 minutes after the patient left the clinic. So the narrative around this is, yes, I have a HIPAA compliant media release in place when, they're coming in as a new patient. I tell everybody, I'm like, look, we do a ton of video. There's always cameras going somewhere. You're probably going to be in the shot. So, we have everybody sign this media release. But for this particular person, like the next layer is, we had worked probably 7 visits. This was the 8th visit, I'm thinking. And I said, hey, when you're done with that exercise, come meet me over here. We're going to do shockwave therapy for the first time today. And just so you know, here's the deal. There's no charge for it today, but you are going to be on camera. We are going to record and I'm going to publish this. So just be ready to share this media. We kind of do it in a joking way. And he laughed and he kind of looked away. Like, I think he probably, if I would have said, hey, can I record you? I would have gotten a no. But instead it was just, hey, here's the deal. We're going to do shockwave today and I'm going to record it. We're going to publish it on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, Instagram. This would be awesome. Come on, let's go. And that's it. Now, I mean, you could ask, like, is that ethical? Is that right? Or should you do that? Are you pressuring them? At some point, it's like, hey, they're adults. They're going to make their own decisions. And truthfully, if I even got a shred of like the idea that this person was genuinely against it, I wouldn't do it. I have no reason to do it. I've got plenty of videos like this. I'll show you guys another one. Hang on a sec.
Is that you?
They formally diagnosed. What's that?
Was that you doing the backflip?
Yeah. Let me.
I like it. By the way, Tony, as you're toggling, that video was great because you're kind of poking around on his medial knee, and he kind of gives like a zow, yow, wow.
Yep.
And he kind of yelps a little bit, and I mean that's like kind of early in the video.
Yeah, right here. For people who haven't seen it. Diagnosed you with like meniscus tear. Right there. Oh, that's.
Oh, no, exactly.
Well, let me go back.
Have they formally diagnosed you with like meniscus tear or what?
And I think seeing those expressions are valuable. Real people in the clinic. Here's another one. I'll just do 3 quick ones. What I like about this one is we've got the gentleman in the foreground. Now, I've done tons of videos with the guy in the foreground who is doing the jump rope. We've got the patient here, and I tried to put some titles up there like, look, we do a little assessment. We do some shockwave. Look, Dave, I'm doing some manual therapy. What I would call it therapy. Some people might not call this manual therapy. every single person that gets touched in my clinic, for the most part, they're all sitting in a chair like this. They're all out in the clinic. They're talking. They're socializing.
Over clothes is your style. Manual therapy over the clothes.
Every single time. I hardly ever touch skin. Last one
right
here.
here, but this is where you felt right.
This is another one.
I haven't seen
a
this
little
one
bit
yet.
of assessment.
Right there. Let's do it with the knee bent.
One thing that I've noticed is I tend to use more masculine, like this is AC/DC. I use more masculine music with my male patients in the video. I use Taylor Swift with a lot of my female patients. It wasn't intentional initially, but now I think it might be. Now, here's an interesting thing about this. I feel so uncomfortable with the comparison before and after. This just kind of came out organic, and he's not like, oh yeah, it feels amazing. I asked him to give me a little squat. He doesn't do a full depth squat or anything, but the idea is, you know, this is organic. This is what's really happening now. In that clip, he says, that was my other knee that clicked. I'm making a big push. Deficits for me. It's grainy. It's not sharp. I was telling Jimmy before we got on, I don't have enough light to get a really, really clear, crisp image for these videos. I need to upgrade my lighting in the clinic. I need to do a couple of things to tweak this. But these videos are getting, 500 to 1,500 views. They're generating some buzz. I'm getting a lot of inbound questions from past patients that see them. I share this here. I share it to Instagram, to TikTok, then to my Facebook business page. These have been doing really well for us. Now, I just ran a paid ad, like literally this morning. I started a paid ad on YouTube, pushing these videos out a little further.
I just thought of one. Do you think they make more money with the pawn shop, or do you think they make more money with this TV show Pawn Stars?
The TV show, because it's been around for like 15 years.
Yeah, but the store's been around for 1 billion years, right? And then that drives now it is one of, somebody threw a statistic at me. It is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Las Vegas. And it's like 15 minutes outside of Vegas. It's not even on the strip. People go to it.
The thing is, the actual physical store is always bottlenecked by the physical location. Like the American Pickers guys. Like Sean Parr, he was saying that he had the hot dog stand. He used to work for those guys.
Oh, really?
He said there would be a line out the door. That's why he started the hot dog stand, selling hot dogs as big as a baby's arm. That was his tagline. He was making thousands of dollars a day. He said you could only fit so many bodies in the store.
Yeah.
My physical therapy clinic can only fit so many bodies in the clinic. But YouTube can push that content to a global audience.
Right. Did you guys know who Young Gravy is?
No.
I knew the answer to that. I only knew about him. I forget. That's someone younger than me. He's a rapper, and he went to the University of Wisconsin, and he had the forethought to buy a $6,000 go-kart, like street legal. It could do 30, and then he strapped like speakers and like lights and stuff like that. He made it like a dope ride. And then he partnered with pizza parlors, and he drove around at like 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when people were going into or coming out of bars, and he sold pizza by the slice. Think about that. He had apartment complexes putting their ads to get students to want to live there because they understood his cart was exactly where the people were. So can you bring your clinic to people? No, unless you're a mobile therapist. Can you bring people to your clinic? Yes.
There was something I saw over the weekend, and I surprised I didn't actually message you guys because I thought of Jimmy and everything what we're doing kind of real quick. Tony, you filmed that video, the one where you said a bad lighting or grainy. That was from your iPhone, or like what was the camera you used?
So all of these are just my iPhone 12 Max Pro. I want to go to the 16 Pro because it does have, from the reviews, it has a better low light video capability. I literally just put my phone on a selfie stick, hit record, and it's just sitting there, as a third perspective.
Got it. So anyway, we're watching, my wife loves any food show, and we have the Amazon Fire Stick. So I think we have Direct TV, but like the app, but like we watch a ton of YouTube videos, believe it. Shocker, believe it or not. Anyway, so we're watching some old like diners, drive-ins, and dives, right? Like, you know how like Guy Fieri, he would do one like back in the day, and then like he would go back, he'd go again to the same place like years later, and they would talk about like, oh, remember we did this, and now this is on your menu, or like we did this video, and it was like that was what we featured. Is that still the popular thing, or like what else do people order? And anyway, I thought of Jimmy specifically, but I kind of thought of us in general. So Guy Fieri's talking to the owner. It was, I think it was like a Puerto Rican place. It was, like sandwiches and entrees and whatever. I don't even remember where it's located. It doesn't even matter. He says to the guy, like, so how was it and all that? And the owner said, after you came, we had a line out the door like the next day, and this is not like, this is a phenomenon that we know of. Like we've seen it happen with Guy Fieri. The same thing happens with the pizza place or any other restaurant with like Dave Portnoy. He goes, and then like the next day or that same day or whatever, the pizza place gets a ton of business. What was specific is that the owner of this Puerto Rican place said, not only did we have a line out the door the next day, since you were here, which was years ago, Guy Fieri, we, expanded into the next, and I know Tony's still talking about a physical, you're kind of pigeonholed with the physical location, but they expanded to the next brick and mortar location. So they like doubled in size. So, Guy Fieri came years ago and it was like, I don't know, 6 tables. And now it's like, 15 or 20 tables because they expanded and 2x the size. And the owner was talking about like how amazing it's been, how like kind of a little emotional, like family's been able to be, taken care of, and they've expanded and served more customers and all that. And I feel like, and I know it's challenging because like cost and, traveling around to clinics or whatever, but kind of, Jimmy's kind of floated this a little bit.
I want to do, yeah. Here's an example. Here's a funny example, right? Have you ever heard of Levain Bakery? You're in the city, Dave.
Yeah.
Do you know why you've heard of Levain Bakery? You're going to hate this answer.
No.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift was in New York and did an Instagram thing like, these are my favorite cookies in New York City. I lived 5 doors down from Levain Bakery on 74th Street. Levain Bakery could hold 6 people shoulder to shoulder on a good day. You have to walk downstairs. For all intents and purposes, it is a horrible store location. And yet it's like a speakeasy, right? So T Swizzle does an Instagram story, and everybody who comes to New York is like, I got to try these. So she has attention, and she just, for the good of the world, told people about Levain Bakery and their cookies. By the way, they are redonkulous. Quote me on that. They are cookies the size of your fist. They're like cookies the size of small cakes, and they are awesome. And I barely like cookies, but I love these cookies, right? They blow up, obviously. They now are on 74th Street, which is a cross street in New York, off of Amsterdam, which is a very busy street. They open up a bougie location, like very nice location, a block and a half away. Which location do you think was busier?
Still the speakeasy one?
Because it was the one.
I've been to the big one on the Avenue, and it's huge. It's like a mini Apple store.
So I would be the local in New York being pissed because I couldn't get into my laundry because there was a line. And credit to Levain Bakery, they always put someone outside like, hey, let's be respectful of the neighbors. I would tell people, I'd be like, hey man, just FYI, and like from here on, you got an hour wait. There is the same cookies actually where they make them around the corner. They bring them over here to sell to you idiots. You could go get the same cookie in 48 seconds. No one moved. People wanted the experience that they had. They wanted to know they stood where T Swizzle stood. So that's why people want to get hot dogs as big as a baby's arm in the store, because it's the thing. You want to stand where, it's why people want to kiss the Blarney Stone. You know, the locals pee on that, right? Like the night before, and they watch all the American tourists stand on their head and kiss it, and they're just laughing.
I did not know that, but we need an Irishman to tell us the truth.
It's just part of the experience, man. But you draw attention to it. Like, so yeah. So I think what Dave was getting at was like, what if we did, I'm sort of doing it now, like a very low budget version with PT Business Blueprint. I'm like, I'm going to do 1,000 15-minute episodes. Tell me your business model. Give me a quick spin around the thing. Danny Mattei is doing this.
Yeah.
With his like clients. Then he just goes in and shoots like a reality show. Like kudos to Danny and his team for like doing this. I wish they'd go deeper. Like from what I've seen anyway, like I haven't hunted, so Danny probably already is because he's a smart dude and they're smart people. But like they're just like, let's just go, like show us. And like Danny's like the anti-host, where he's just like, oh, so what's up? But he just asks the right questions. So what's up? Why, how'd you get here? What's your business like? What's your difference?
Jimmy and I have talked about that exact concept. Like I've wanted to do that for so long. It's just I just don't see a big enough return on the investment for me to take time away from my family at the family stage right now.
Let's go. Let's get an RV.
Right.
Cousin Jimmy.
I looked at the what are those big vans called where you
Sprinter?
Yeah, Sprinter van, fill it, turn it into a podcast studio. I mean, we've seen other people that have done it.
Let's get a U-Haul, some 2x4s and some plywood, my man. U-Haul's like $29 a day.
I want to push back on something that if I said that, Tony would say this, what I'm about to say,
okay.
which is, so in the beginning of, let's say, Guy Fieri, whatever the, diners, drives and dives, like someone had to put up the money. Yes, it takes money and there's risk and you don't know if it's going to turn out to be anything or anything at all. But Guy Fieri is, I don't know, what do you think? He's probably worth like 100 million, right? He's got books, he's got a bunch of crazy merch and stupid knickknacks and things like that. I'm sure he's done extremely well. So if it were to make sense in the beginning, let's say we all brought our families, all that, we'd have to put some money up. Yes, we risk the short-term loss of the patients we could be treating or generating or the comfort of being home or whatever. But in the long, and maybe it's easier for someone like Guy Fieri, so it's just like one person instead of like a team or whatever. But in the short term, he probably got paid like X from whatever the TV station was, and then had some upside. But there's always that risk in the beginning. And now him looking back, like he probably would have, he would have done it, a million times over.
Everybody would have doubled down, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the math is. I'm not a math guy, but I think 80% of people's biggest regrets is I wish I didn't go bigger. I wish I didn't go sooner. It's rarely like I shouldn't have done that. Like rarely is the regret the other way. It's usually I wish I went bigger.
This is I haven't looked at this channel for a while, but this is one of my favorite YouTube channels. It's outside the scope of physical therapy. Flip, 1.2 million subscribers. These guys go through and they highlight different businesses. Like, this one's got a bounce house business, roof repair, shingles, yards. These guys did a great episode on a guy that started with a food truck. He was just doing like barbecue and smoked meats. Then he started a TikTok account. I've shared this on social media. He started a TikTok account, blew up to multiple millions of views. And then what they did was they went into ghost kitchens. So talking about the bottleneck for physical locations where we're saying I can only get so many bodies in my 2,000 square foot physical therapy clinic. Smoked meats went into ghost kitchens where they could mass produce, they could ship. He said they ship more smoked meats than anyone in the area, anyone else. They could never have done that in a physical location where people are coming to dine in or even carry out. They blew the business up to multiple millions a year. Now you look at that and you say, well, how can we do that in therapy? And I would say what we do, hang on, Jimmy, what we do is we go to the digital products. And I shared a post where I said, look, Ready State with Kelly Starrett, they're doing digital products.
That's where I was going.
The Barbell Physio with Zach Long, they're doing digital products. El Paso Manual Therapy, digital products. There's tons of therapists already doing this. So Dave, to your point, it's not just about the ad revenue from YouTube. That's where it gets the eyeballs. And now I stepped onto TikTok for the first time last night, let's say a couple of days ago, because I'm like, I need to figure this out, TikTok shop. And what I did, now here's my approach. I'm not looking for physical therapy patients on TikTok. I'm looking at, okay, what is the opportunity? What am I missing? One of the products that I do videos for is Next Level. You interviewed Scott Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
So I do videos for Next Level. They have a great affiliate program. It's invite only right now, but they pay a decent commission. They don't have any presence on TikTok. So I'm like, look, I'm doing videos anyway. I could be the main guy on TikTok pushing the next level glide. They have videos showing who's the quarterback for Kansas.
Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes is using their product.
Oh, yeah, they had it on Netflix. He did it on a Netflix.
Like all of the raw materials are there. I cannot believe there is no physical presence on TikTok for them. That's going to be my big push over the next 2 weeks. Besides the other stuff that I'm doing, getting ready for Black Friday, is I'm just going to flood TikTok with a bunch of next level videos that I'm doing in my clinic. But like, these are huge opportunities.
The thing to do with what you just said, the scale the unscalable, that example of like Taylor Swift gets asked to play someone's Sweet 16 birthday party every 11 and a half seconds, but every once in a while she does it. It doesn't make any sense, but she does it, and she knows that she can ride that attention wave really quickly, and then every 6 months it surfaces again, and then every 6 months it surfaces again. The unscalable thing to do would be Kelly Starrett goes, I'm going to drive from San Francisco to New York for my buddy's wedding, and I'm going to stop in these 6 cities, and I'm going to host a one-day whatever to either treat people or train physios or whatever in these 5 cities and make an event out of it. Then it doesn't make any sense, but it does because he's able to bring the audience. His milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. So make a great milkshake and then show everybody the milkshake until they're dying to taste the milkshake. Like, do you know like what profession used short form video masterfully? Was comedians. Like, here's the smart way they do it. A bad way would be record your set and give away your jokes. But then the problem is when I go see it, jokes aren't like songs. You know what I mean? Sometimes they are, but most of the time they're not. It's like, I've heard this one, like, okay, ha, ha, ha. Song you can hear over and over again. What the smart ones like Matt Rife did is they don't share most of the jokes. They share the crowd work because that's different every night. So they interact with the crowd and they play. So the people who are good at crowd work, and what Tony's video is crowd work. It's not the treatment. It's the banter with the individual. And yeah, he's highlighting, how did I get him there? Physical therapy. That's where I think our profession makes the mistake. They try to make physical therapy Han Solo or Luke. It's not. It's Yoda. Like, make sure it's always Yoda. Stop trying to make it the star. It's the guide.
Yeah, the patient's the star.
And then I can see myself in that role. And then I go, well, I should do this. And this is what Stu McGill should do a tour where he invades America and goes across the country. So whatever that 2 weeks across the country would be insane with the amount of attention that would follow afterwards.
Let me share one more thing. And then if you guys want to hit a new topic,
we got to talk about ATI.
Yeah.
I don't
So
understand.
This is, I know everybody here knows Ali Abdaal. This is a breakdown of his kind of revenue. He shared this stuff publicly a bunch of times. If I scroll through just to give you the highlights, so like here, revenue breakdown, 10% of it, the income comes from affiliate, 20% from Google AdSense. Google AdSense would be what he makes from YouTube ads.
Right, 20%.
But Skillshare and brand deals account for 70% of his income. I think at one point he said he was doing $8 million a year. He started as a doctor. He was a medical student. He was sharing like study guide tips as a medical student. And then fast forward a few years, and this is where he is now. Let me jump down to another graphic real quick. So part-time YouTuber Academy is his digital course and community. It accounts for 54%. That's huge. This is where I think physical therapists could look at this and say, okay, I don't want to be a full-time YouTuber. No problem. Capture those little video clips during treatments. I've never created as much content, clinic-facing content as I have now since my PTA went on maternity leave, and I'm in the clinic every single day. I cannot believe how easy, no offense, guys, how easy it is to generate content when you're actually working and treating patients. Every single day, you don't even see a fraction of the content that I have stored on my hard drive. And that is going to be stuff that I'll go back a year later and access when I'm like back out of the clinic and desperate for content. But the idea is we can do so much with the content we're generating every single day. Document, don't create, just Like when that guy left my clinic, I had 5 minutes of raw footage on my phone. I went straight into YouTube Shorts app. I edited a couple clips. I put music behind it. YouTube with YouTube Studio will do the captions for you.
Right.
And I hit publish, you know, and literally it took me minutes to get that ready and up. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough.
Yeah. All right, let's switch topics. I want to talk about ATI and their stock price. Not because I want to pick on ATI. I want to understand what stock price means. Like I sort of understand it, but I don't. But I want to understand what it means. Like, so what, now what? Like, what does this not only mean for ATI, but what does this mean for the profession? And what is this saying?
I think Dave can probably explain some of this better than us, but
riddle me this. What does this mean?
So one thing is that ATI went public via a SPAC. A couple years ago, a SPAC is a special purpose acquisition vehicle. So basically, like a company would be private, call it ATI, and there were other companies. There were other examples. Another one was Virgin, whatever, Richard Branson, Virgin Galactic or whatever. They did like that whole thing where they went up briefly and came back down. That also went public via SPAC, and that also has not done well. But basically, a SPAC is there's a private company, and then there's a private equity firm that has money. They might already own or co-own a shell company that's already listed publicly. It could be on the NASDAQ or wherever. It's already listed publicly, but it's got basically like no revenue. It's like they call it a blank check company. It's the guy, Chamath, who is part of the All In podcast. He helped Richard Branson go public with Virgin Galactic via a SPAC merger. And so Chamath had like IPO A, IPO B, IPO C. Like he had like 26 IPO shell companies for other companies. It's a little complicated, but basically it's like, it's a way to go public via a merger of a shell company that's already public, even though the one that's public is not like a full-on company, right? So ATI went public via some SPAC that was backed by Fortress. I had to look it up. Fortress Capital. And so it's kind of like it's almost like a backdoor to go public. So that's one thing. Now, when this happened, 2020, 2021, around that time, the SPACs were very popular, and there was a lot of money. Interest rates were lower, so there was a lot of deals that happened in 2020, especially more so 2021. But ATI went public, I think I saw in 2020. That's just to preface, you could still perform and do well. Now, in terms of their stock price, there was something, didn't we talk about it like a year or so ago, guys? Like, there was something that they, I don't have the direct quote, but I think ATI had like misrepresented certain financials and performance in terms of like completed visits and revenues and things like that. And I think there might've been something where they were, I don't know, miscategorizing or like they named something differently. And the joke example is you guys remember WeWork, right? You remember that company that like was in the news and it was like worth 48 billion and then like it collapsed and then it was like worth 20 and then it was worth like 2 billion or whatever. And WeWork created like, instead of like adjusted EBITDA, they created, it was like WeWork community adjusted EBITDA. Like they created like their own financial metric. And if you have a company that's huge, doing billions, creating their own financial metric, and the reason why all these companies use like EBITDA margins and adjusted EBITDA is so that we can all kind of have like a normal standard for valuation, and is this company legit or not, and what are they actually producing, and what's their margin and all that. And I'm not saying ATI did that, but I'm saying that there was some report, I think Tony and I at least talked about it maybe a year or so ago, or maybe you posted something about it, where they got in trouble for misrepresenting some of their financials. I'll just leave it at that. And I would bet that would be directly in relation to their stock price even today, because it's been declining, I think, even a year or so ago. And, this is the 5-year. Okay, so it fell off a cliff like almost when it IPO'd.
The big picture here is they went public back in 2020-ish. They hit they hit a high of 600 something a share, and now they're down under $2 a share. I pulled some of the headlines. So like negative, actually, let's hit the positives first. Some of the positives. So API reported 7.1% increase in net revenue year over year. Patient referrals per day grew by 5% year over year. Clinician headcount increased 3% year over year. So they're hiring, they're growing. Company maintained high Google star rating of 4.9 out of 5. That seems like a funny thing to highlight.
Yes, agreed. They're just reaching. Where else can we get good information, good news?
Where is our information from? Was this from ATI or was this from like
this Yahoo? Is from Yahoo Finance. This is their.
But what better litmus test or tea leaves from the patient side? You can get how many referrals or how much money. That's the only metric, right? So get a damn rating.
I know, but it's when you got like an investor letter kind of like this, like, I mean, that is usually not part of like Apple and Tesla. They're not saying like we have, of course, they probably do mention customer satisfaction scores, but Google reviews, I mean, you could juice those if you wanted to.
All right, last one, adjusted EBITDA.
Apparently you can juice stock price too.
Increase to 12 million, a 6.4% margin. Okay, now the negatives, and we have no horse in this race. Like, it makes no difference to us. I think this gives us a general idea of what's going on, in this world. So wage inflation, this was the one that I thought we would all talk about. Wage inflation remains a persistent challenge, contributing to increased salaries and related costs. So they grew clinicians by 3%, but they're also paying those clinicians a lot more. Net loss during the quarter, 33 million. Provisions for doubtful accounts increased, so meaning they're not going to get paid on things that they're waiting on. Labor market remains challenging. Clinician attrition holding a steady at 21%. Wow, that's a big number, I would think.
But they do have good Google reviews, though.
Yeah, company closed a clinic, divested one, no big deal there. CEO noted wage inflation remains a persistent headwind.
Isn't labor market challenge what we just reported from the APTA report? Wasn't it like 19% and they're at 21%? So it's like that's on par. So that's not like ATI. But how many big PT companies are public? I know US Physical Therapy is public, and that's it.
So I'm sorry. ATI would be the third via this fact. So it was USPH and Select Medical, and I don't think there's another one. And now ATI would be the third, as far as I understand. There might be another one here or there, but those are the big ones.
But is Select public, or are they owned by private equity, or are they?
I thought they were public, but if not, then ATI might be the second.
I think they used to be, and I think they went private.
So what does this mean for the profession? Or I mean, again, stock amateur. Do not take any stock advice from me ever. Is this the time to buy? Because like we're at $1.89. Like, I don't know.
Dave?
I mean, I don't know how much. Let's just say if you were to buy Confluent, I don't think Confluent's public. Dan, thanks for commenting live here. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if it's the time to buy because I don't know how much of a bounce back they're going to have, right? How much, like if you want to buy something that it would be a potential growth stock and they, Apple brings Steve Jobs back and like over time they, have explosive growth with new products, all that. Let's just think about it. Let's say in the next 10 years, like how explosive or how much growth could an ATI really have?
Yeah.
I don't think it would be much to risk investing in, thinking that you're going to have some big upside in 10, 15 years.
I mean, this is one of those deals where you bet on winners, you cut losers. Like this is a gamble. This is a lottery ticket. Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's going to go to zero. It's going to fail. It's totally counterintuitive when it goes back to like you buy at highs and you sell at lows. I know everybody wants to go the other direction. I've lost tons of money going the other direction. But the reality is, like, back to some basic business fundamentals, there's a reason why expensive companies are expensive. There's a reason why Dave's physical therapy service is expensive, because it's successful, it's good, it's worth the money. So this is one of those deals where if somebody wanted to throw a little bit of money in there on a lottery ticket, maybe. But anything under $5 used to be considered a penny stock. It's probably $10 now. It's just not worth
All right. So can I ask a silly question then?
Yeah.
What does this mean for ATI, not just their stock price, right? Like, so there was a lot of positives there in terms of like referrals are up. It feels like the negatives are like about the profession. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, outside of like an accounting error or misrepresentation error or whatever that was, does that mean that the future of a company, or the future of a profession? I'm trying to like zoom out. Like, I'm not here to like, just focus on the company. Like, what is this? What do the tea leaves say for the profession? Because a lot of those things were up.
Well, yeah, and salary is up, and those types of things because of the third party payers that ATI interacts with and uses.
Can't do anything.
You can't do anything. That's one of the big reasons of headwinds. That's going to be challenging. So there's something I also want to mention before we wrap up, where I want to connect the first thing about YouTube and the ATI thing, and we're going to put them together. Maybe that would be the explosive growth. But anyway, the salaries and compensation for all their therapists and future therapists that might join ATI, it is what it is. They have a ton of clinics. There's rent, and all those rents are most likely, those leases are going to have higher rents in coming years. So they are like they're kind of where they are, and it's not going to be a ton of explosive growth because of those factors that's just part of the landscape right now. Wages, inflation, higher costs of living, all of that. They have to pay therapists a certain amount to actually get them in the first place and then keep them.
To answer your question again, Jimmy, you guys remember Ty Lopez, right?
Yeah.
So I think Ty Lopez, I'm looking it up right now as I'm saying, like, I think he bought Pier 1. He bought Modell's. I don't know who remembers Modell's. I remember it. Radio Shack. So it's one of those deals where Ty Lopez bought those like old brands. Most of the new revenue and the profit from what he has said on interviews for those old brands comes from online. So like Pier 1, all the stores are gone, but basically all of the money is coming from their online. I think last I heard it was like 800,000 a year or maybe $1 million a year, which still isn't a lot, but it's something. I think what you're going to see is brands like ATI that are just going to flounder for a while. They'll probably get packaged, resold, maybe taken private. But it's going to take somebody who will take these legacy brands and bring something new to it. Are they going to get acquired by a Hinge or a Sword? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe like if Hinge wants to go into physical locations, the easiest thing for them to do is just go out and buy a company like ATI right now, and I think the main value in buying something like that is the staff, is the clinicians, is you're just buying a whole bunch of therapists real quick that have distribution in physical locations. That's my guess. I am no expert at any of this. Dave, you're nodding. You agree?
So Ty Lopez was with some other guy, Alex something, that sold some other tech company, and they're most likely backed by some capital. I don't think he didn't do it on his own. And there's a team there. But yes, they are buying those brands, and then the plan is to be all e-commerce without the physical locations. To loop these two topics together, imagine, I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but you have the tight margins, the high demand on labor with the salaries that the therapists want to that they're demanding and need. Imagine you get a new CEO. We plug in Tony Maritato as CEO of ATI, even though he said, I know you're already busy, you don't want to add things to your plate, but imagine if like tomorrow Ian made every patient sign the social media release. You pop up a YouTube channel, you call it whatever, you call it, ATI National, you call it whatever. And then Tony, from the top down is just like, here's the examples, here's the blueprint, put a corporate iPhone, cameras, whatever, camera crew in every clinic. Some therapists might leave just because of that. Some patients might leave just because of that. And you just film everything. You film, all the things in between, all the funny things, patients getting mad that, so-and-so is in their parking spot, or, just stupid things in the clinic, and the physical therapy stuff and the front desk stuff and the phone calls and everything. You just film everything. That could be the explosive growth. So if Tony's going to be the CEO of ATI, then yes, we should buy the stock. And this is not financial advice.
So CEOs making yearly compensation 3.3 million. I might consider that. I might take some other stuff off my plate. But here's a little insider information, and this is a fact I didn't even know. So Jimmy was with me at the PPS conference this year. I ran into an old buddy of mine. He was the guy that originally introduced me to physical therapy. He was the director of rehab at the hospital where I was a volunteer. We had a great relationship. He's the guy that I sat down with and I was like, Scott, what do I do? How do I open a physical therapy clinic? Long story short, if you guys remember The Real World from MTV, they had a series on Siesta Key. Siesta Key is where I grew up. Turns out my buddy's daughter was one of the main characters on that reality show, Siesta Key. Everybody has said it. I'm not the only one. Why do we not have a reality show for physical therapy where we follow a community of patients? It could be a combo. It could be like Survivor meets Mr. Beast meets MTV Real World. We eliminate patients as they get discharged. They get voted off the island if they're doing too well. What's up, Jimmy?
Well, I was going to say, like, The Real World stalled out because just watching people like Sims didn't work. So what did they do? They did road rules and they installed challenges. There needed to be a finish line. There needed to be a reason. There needed to be a way to cause tension outside of who ate all my cereal didn't replace it.
We'll bring back Joe Rogan.
How come Real Housewives? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Joe Rogan from what was that series where they did Fear Factor. Well,
here's
add
something
that
interesting.
element.
You ready for this? Look at this statistic that I just brought up. We're combining, like Dave said, the beginning topic and this topic. ATI, a huge organization. I just started doing YouTube seriously 6 months ago, switching from strictly podcasting to actually doing video. I have more people subscribed to my YouTube channel than ATI. They could do a staff meeting and be like, everybody subscribe to this channel right now because that's the number people look at. But look at the number below it. Working at ATI, that one video, 2,800 views. That when I Google ATI and YouTube, those are the things that come up, which is people are looking at that. Although 4 years ago, 2,800 views, not a great statistic. But man, you could have a staff meeting and be like, everybody in this region, we need you to follow this channel. But even better than following the channel, we're going to turn you into a content creator. We're going to turn you into a star of the show for a little while. And like full disclosure, I think I did 17 of my podcast episodes last year at CSM with ATI. And so I've done some with them before. Here's the thing about ATI. We keep talking about the organization. All the people that I've talked to are super nice. Like, remember that. These are PTs. These are your colleagues. Like, when people bash, like, an organization because it is large, I'm very confused by that. Although I'm not, because I'm a Yankee fan. I'm like, everybody felt bad for Mattingly in the 80s and 90s. Couldn't get to the World Series, retires the year before. Yankees start winning. Everyone loves them, and then they hate. That's what America does, right? We love to root for the underdog, and it's until you start winning, then we hate you. So is this a case of that? I don't know.
Dave, what were you going to say about Housewives?
Oh, yeah, Housewives.
So how come the Real Housewives is so popular? I just saw one, and unfortunately, I guess I'm watching too much TV. The fact that I even know that Real Housewives is now going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah. But they've done Real Housewives in New Jersey and in New York and I don't know what other
How would they do that?
Cities or states or whatever. They juice a lot of the conflicts, right? That's why people watch more than, like Jimmy said, more than the Real World, where Real World was literally no actors. They didn't juice any conflict. It was just like their actual lives. And so, Jimmy, you're saying that's part of why it kind of stalled out, because maybe it was too real and it wasn't entertaining enough and it wasn't fakely juice.
No, and I'm no, historical expert on reality television, but I remember it was innovative because it was like, the intro is like, watch the real life of 7 strangers. That should be the worst pitch in TV ever. But then you're like, I've met people and crazy. But the idea was, it was like, bring in the straight bodybuilder, bring in the gay guy. It was like it was a stereotype of each person, put them together. And every once in a while, things have to evolve, right? Like, what are the longest running shows on TV in terms of reality? Like America's Got Talent, What's the other one? What's not America's Got Talent? What's the other one with it? Everybody's saying
American Idol.
American Idol.
What did Tony say?
I was going to say The Simpsons as soon as he said longest running.
Oh yeah, but not a reality in terms of that. Actually, I think the longest running show is 60 Minutes. Maybe, I don't know, but like, why do they need to juice it up? I don't know. Every once in a while it gets stale, but look at America's Got Talent. It's a game. It's a game reality show.
Will Boyd, loving the discussion. Really interesting thought experiment about ATI.
That could be an episode. What would you do in your first? What would each of us do in our first 90 days as CEO of ATI?
So I've been listening to a guy talk about TikTok Shop and talking about how he grew a brand. It was the guy who started Genius Supplements. I don't know the brand at all, but he grew it to like 30 million a year in revenue, and I think they sold it. And he was talking about other brands that basically were competing, like GNC. You know, GNC is a classic. They used to sell supplements, brick and mortar shops. They tried online. They never really got successful. They basically disappeared. It goes back to what we always talk about, Kodak having the first digital camera and doing nothing with it because they were in the film business. Like, we can take this model, move it into the new economy, completely innovate on it, and I think be very successful and still have enough money to allow us to do what we want to do as therapists, you know, treat patients the way we want to treat patients, and allow the revenue and the profitability to come from something other than treating the patients.
Right. I think this is minimal investment with a potential max. Goes back to what we talked about with Guy Fieri. If you talk to Guy Fieri about his biggest regrets with diners, dive-ins, and drives, it likely would have been that he didn't go sooner, bigger, faster. Like, you know, even when you fail, you're like, we didn't move fast. We played it safe. I'm guilty of that. That's why it's so clear.
At any price, a stock at zero means 0 years of negative cash flow, negative net cash flow, dilution, current upside, and the fact that it can only lose 100% of your investment. Yeah, I agree.
So
totally.
If they get delisted, though, they're still a company. And they're still they can still make money. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, what do people, how much will people invest in this? Keep in mind, all their clinicians invest in it every single day. That's the only, it's roughly the only place that they work. So it's still a viable business, even if the stock price is zero. Do I have that right?
Yes, potentially. Yes, it's still a viable business. They're still treating patients and making money, and but their investors are not doing well. They're the ones that are suffering.
Understood.
So what are we doing? We want to hit closing parting shots? Or
no, we got to talk about Dave's GIF real quick. We could do that in 2 minutes.
Oh, right? Yeah, I forgot.
Remember the GIF? Hang on, here it is.
I want to get your interpretation, especially Tony's, but both of you.
Okay, so I'll do play-by-play. It's a great GIF of a guy trying to dunk a basketball on a hoop, and he can't. He misses horribly. And then an elephant comes from off camera, lifts him up by the trunk, and lifts him up. So revenue is the goal. Lead generation is the guy trying to dunk, and loyal customers winds up lifting him up, getting him close to the hoop, so he's able to actually complete the dunk and get the ball in the hoop. That's the GIF.
I wish it would have been profits instead of revenue, especially for this audience. For, profits are all we care about. We don't care about revenue.
Right. So what's the interpretation? It looks like the fastest way to increase revenue or profits would be the people that you're already know who you are, who've invested in your organization, your product, your service. They are the fastest way to get lead generation results, to convert lead generation into revenue. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think Jerry Durham talks about this. Probably Jordan Mather talks about this. Like, for a decade, we've been saying, look, you guys don't need more new patients. You guys have, if you have even a couple, handful of patients in your database, you have enough patients to go back. Every year, there's fewer and fewer new people that come into my clinic. Yes, some patients die. Those patients that die, they get replaced with actual, genuine new patients. But the vast majority
didn't kill anybody, and he hasn't replaced any people. It's just metaphorical.
The vast majority of our evaluations are happening for patients that have been with us 5, 10, sometimes 15 years.
Right.
That's where the value is. You know, Joey Albritton talks about it. Like everybody who does this talks about reactivating, keeping a community, keeping a tribe.
Dave?
And this goes back to, I mentioned to you guys a couple of weeks ago, like we had the end of October, we had 2 clients that one of my therapists is seeing. He's seeing 2 clients where they happen to have a birthday on the same day. And like he saw the client on his birthday, and then he saw the other client like 2 or 3 days after her birthday, but there was 2 clients on the birthday on the same day. And they've already spent a ton on our service. And so I mentioned to you guys, like the one guy, we bought him a cake, and then the woman, we got her a bouquet of flowers. And it's like all of that, because of our pricing and our approach and everything, like there's already extra cash like kind of built into the whole model, right? So it's like that gift, I'm like, man, like, and they hopefully they'll refer people to us, but even if they don't, like there's already, there's extra cash. We want to let's put it back to them, especially their birthday. Like when someone says happy birthday to any, like you feel so great. You feel like you're for that day, you're the center of attention, which you should be. And, you're getting someone to think about you and all that. So like, hey, let's do some goodwill. Let's turn it back on them. I have not done this well enough over the past 5 years or whatever. So I want to start doing more of this. And that gift was just like, man, like we all talk about lead gen and, Google ads and referrals and new patients and, all that, and converting new patients and what to say on the phone and all that type of stuff. Right. And it's like, sometimes it's just a good reminder. Like for me, it's just, sometimes we overlook the amount of dollars someone has already spent with us. They already know, like, and trust us. So that's why I want to share with you guys.
Yeah, this was the thing we did in radio that pissed my morning guy off. We had a database of thousands of listeners. In radio, it's hard to get that, right? Except we have prize winners. So I had the idea, how do you do this? So I made our morning guy, when he got off the air, to call people whose birthday it was, because one of the rules was you had to give us your information, and one of them was birthday to prove however old you were. And he looked at me like I was an idiot, because he's like, I'm the morning guy, baby. Like I do one to many. I don't do one to one. And I was like, this is long before Taylor Swift. I was like, but you're the guy everybody in this area, Northeast Pennsylvania, listens to for the last X number of years. You're going to call 10 people in the morning and just be, and he goes, and say what? I'm like, riff, baby. Pretend like they're your bro, because they think you are. You are their bro. They hang with you like 3 hours every morning. And a week into this, he turned and he was like, people really appreciate that. And I'm like, are you just understanding the value of the relationship you have with these people who listen to you for 3 hours a day? And he was, and this is a guy who was in radio at that time longer than I was. And I was like, this doesn't scale, but it scales. Like it's difficult to measure what those, because again, we didn't sell a product, right? They were already buying by listening, and they proved it by listening enough that they won something. But trust me, we would see when social media started, people like Jim Bone called me this morning for my birthday. Well, that's crazy. What do I do? What do I do if they don't answer? Leave a funny voicemail. You're already on the line, dude. You're a radio broadcaster. Riff. It was Cameo before Cameo. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but that's what he was doing. He was doing cameos.
There you go.
Party shot. So Albert Einstein doing the same thing and expecting a different result. The definition of insanity. Like, why it breaks my heart seeing therapists today, the end of 2024, trying to build the same business that I built in 2000. We need to do things different. And this is the greatest opportunity there's ever been in the history of humanity to build a business differently, more profitably, more scalable. We cannot copy what's always been done.
Dave, what do you got?
Same thing. I mean, we need to do more video recording in our practice. We need to get these releases signed. We need to come at it at a different angle. And I know, what's his name? Scott earlier mentioned, asking questions like, asking patients, would it be a ridiculous idea for us to film your treatment session? And yes, I know it's actually one of my all-time favorite books from Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. I do know that question approach, and I didn't ask it that way, so I should have. But getting this stuff out there, I think it solves a lot of lost revenue. Like Tony said, like you do the treatment session, you're never going to get paid more for that treatment session ever again in the future because you don't have it on video. It can spur more therapist candidates reaching out to you for wanting to work with you. on the patient side and also on the referral side, like physicians and other local influencers nearby. I need to do more of it. I need to make it significantly more important in our radar for our business. Yeah. What do you got, Jimmy?
Bigger, faster, sooner. Since Tony started with a quote, I'll start with another one. Do you guys know who David Meltzer is? He's, I don't know, a business dude who talks about business. And he said, what if I told you were 24 no's away from $1 billion? How fast would you keep asking questions? You're 24 no's away from $1 billion, right? But you're worried about crafting the perfect question because you don't want to get a no. And David was like, lean into that no. If I'm no. There was that great video of a guy that like went off and he was like, I need to get rejected by 100 women a day. And then he's done. So then there's the question, if you try to fail and succeed, which have you done? But how many no's away are you away from success, the thing you want to do? Instead of avoiding the no, like Dave, lean into the no and figure that out.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.